Jeff Epstein is not an interest in my channel because his reputation is oriented around Satanism, and that psychotic shit is a fringe minority in this world. It's actually kept private. I'm not saying that's good. My point is that it's not being promoted, preached, or imposed onto the world. It has victimized many of the world's children, but this channel is about breaking mysticism, ideologies, and general nonsense down, while questioning both the narrative and the psychology of those who represent it all. The main problem I've observed is that a lot of Christians on most, if not all, videos about the Epstein files, along with many non-religious people, have been calling these wealthy, psychotic pedophiles and cannibals, quote, demons, and accusing them of, quote, evil. I think that Christians are using these newly exposed pedophile rings as an excuse to preach and promote Christianity, while the non-religious are unknowingly helping them. To clear all opportunity of the ideologically dishonest and disingenuous assholes of strawmanning me, I'm not saying anything about these rings as good. I'm only saying the terms demon and evil are mystical and supernatural terms, which comes from religion. And these unspeakable atrocities done in the name of capitalism are psychotic, as committed by these psychos, because wealth and power. I haven't thought to until now. But I asked one of these Christians what if God did any of this shit to young girls. They would only say God would never do anything like what these psychos do. That doesn't answer my question and makes my point for me. Christians would also assert that God only does good, yet he flooded the earth once, and turned the lady into salt. The question is, if God did commit such crimes, to say God never would is not a valid answer because I'm asking, what if God did? I know every Christian's response would be, God has a plan, or whatever stupid cop-out excuse because you Christians know perfectly fucking well that Christianity is both bullshit and grotesque. God is far worse than any man has ever been and could ever be. I've replied this to some and got no reply, unless that's due to YouTube's loser censorship. I could be wrong on this, but I'll add that amidst all the information that's been forwarded and based on the religious responses, which I'm pointing out and criticizing here, I think Christianity is a front to keep everyone distracted because that creates trust, even though it's severely authoritarian and means living a horribly limited life. People want that for some reason, though, if they weren't brainwashed. I say this because Christianity has nothing to do with these trafficking and cannibalism rings. If the Christian's reasoning is the Satanism aspect of it, well, like I say, the Bible is just as horrific and criminal. Some of these psychotic wealthy people are atheists, and I'm sure this acknowledgement would cause you Christians to conveniently abstain from the usual straw man that atheism is a religion and atheists really believe in God, and so on. So you can all honestly smear atheism, admitting that atheism really is disbelief and is not a religion, showing your true colors. I say this because if you still argue that atheism is a religion, you're only hurting religion because I'm confirming that those atheists are also guilty of the pedophilia and cannibalism, just as the Christian ones are. If God has a plan, then everything that has ever happened, does happen, and will happen is all in accordance to that plan. If that's what you believe, you have no business complaining about anything or anyone. And you have no business blaming anyone. You won't blame God for anything or outright reject this being, while you sweep it under the, quote, sin rug. The cop-out assertion that it's all man's fault. That cancels God out, which also means he has no plan. Everything that any Satanist ritualistically does is in accordance to that plan, or is simply those people's fault, who behave in sadism and murder, which are psychoses, not evil or demonic. Some atheists have pointed out that the Christians are using Satan as a scapegoat, taking the responsibility away from the criminals, and this is essentially not advocating, but supporting rape and sadism. But supporting rape, sadism, murder, and cannibalism. The same way Christians often permit God to kill people, quote, because he's God. They're still supporting criminal behaviors, they're just saying only God is allowed to. Characters in the Bible were still killed and violated. That is not moral. I would say Christianity is a front, but this religion is about fear, guilt, bigotry, and submission. Other people could add to that list. This religion psychologically cuts people down absolutely, making people think they're completely worthless, while believing God is entitled to everything, absolutely at human expense. Yet they all perceive Christianity to be good and wholesome. While wherever in the world there are these patriarchal cult societies of men who get together in costumes while they fuck with and often kill the teenage girls they've kidnapped and captured, leaving the parents, family, and friends of these girls to pray to a God who is entirely worse than those satanic predators.